that they're changing my voice. This video is about Christ explaining Genesis chapter 1. Hopefully you saw the intro to this playlist, which is hopefully going to be at least Genesis chapter 1 through 10. Let's get right into this because I want to keep this brief here. The beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So we know from these first two verses that the earth is not God. Those who worship G or Gaia or the earth are not worshiping God. So how do we know this? Because the earth was formless and empty, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. So God is above the earth, right? This is why Christ is a character in the story. Says the Spirit means everything and the flesh means nothing. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and he separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. As we get to the seventh day, we'll see that it's the number of completion, of holiness, of purity, and of iteration, meaning there's cycles and it's being perfected over time. Okay, like waking up every day and working out, trying to achieve a certain goal. It's, every day is like an iteration. It's a cycle. However, the end of the Bible means the end of the world, that God's Spirit leaves the world. And God said, "Let there be a vault between the waters to separate the water under the vault from the water above it." And it was so. So God called the vault sky, and there was evening, and there was morning the second day. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear," and it was so. So why is this being explained? Well, because the ground is figurative, first and foremost. We'll see that in chapter 2, and we'll see that in chapter 3, especially in chapter 3, where we see that the first person, in the Bible, the first figurative person, Adam, and his wife and their offspring are cursed. And the curse has to do with the ground and what it yields. And the fact that God is creating things in principle and in spirit before he's physically creating them. We'll see that when we compare chapter 1 to chapter 2 when it comes to the creation of mankind. Okay, so the waters can stand for righteousness. It can stand for the well-being. It stands for peace. It stands for the Spirit of God. We see that in John, the book of John. And God said, "Let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let dry ground appear," and it was so. God called the dry ground land, and gathered the waters, and the gathered waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds," and it was so. The land produced vegetation, plants bearing seed according to their kinds, and trees bearing fruit with seed in it according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good, and there was evening, and there was morning the third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the vault of the sky to separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years." And let them serve as signs. One of my favorite verses in the whole Bible is Luke 12:57, where it says, "Why don't you judge for yourselves what is right?" And it's in the section about interpreting the times, where Christ is angry because they don't see the warrior Spirit of God, the righteous and graceful and romantic and wise Spirit of God and the righteous, and they don't see the wickedness in themselves. Because the light, right? It says in Proverbs, I believe it is, that the human spirit is the lamp of the Lord. So they don't understand their spirit and what it is saying about the times. Let them serve as signs to mark, again, mark, the mark of the beast versus the mark of God, to mark sacred times and days and years, right? Timing and times. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, And it was so. God made two great lights. Now let's stop here. This is going to prove definitively, that the language of the Bible is figurative. It's one big figurative story. The greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made stars. So what does it mean? Well, there's two things being said here. One is, spiritually speaking, the top martial artist is governing those who obey God, who walk in the light. John 3. The top martial artist ever possible. Proverbs 34. Psalm 18, connecting to Psalm 19. The champion, the bridegroom, the top martial artist, the best, me. And that there's this lesser light to govern the night. Now, there's different ways you can interpret that. You can interpret it as Lucifer. Okay? Law. Okay, the moon, the idea of a moon being. Okay? You can interpret it as it's a part of me, right? The sun is the male, the moon is the female. And the female really comes to life at night when the male is making love to her. Okay, and in a sense, in her own way, she governs, but again, the moon absorbs the light of the sun. So in this, we see a pretty complex explanation that has to do with martial arts and making love, right? So there's the sun, there's the moon, and there's the stars. The greater light, right? The head of the household, the top martial arts, God's son, the one he set apart to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. We'll see this in Revelation 6. Where the stars fall like figs from a fig tree, and that connects to the fig leaves in the garden. And so does Nahum 3, where the figs are connected to fortresses, right? The ways, the paths, the stars, the glow of somebody. We'll see this also with the dragon tail sweep in Revelation. Okay, where the dragon knocks a third of the stars out of the sky, which is something that is not going to happen. Another proof that the story is figurative. And it's referring to something more important and more impressive than those events if they were to be literal. Okay. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. So God created the creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the water teems and moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And it was so. So again, in Job, where it says that the hawk spreads its wings by the wisdom of God. By God's wisdom, he created the hawk to spread his wings, right? Some birds are noble birds, right? God is compared to an eagle at one point. There's also the eagle of Babylon, the devil. It's like there's holy water, there's muddy water. We also see that there's detestable birds in Revelation, right? There's detestable birds that are referenced. There's also the birds that are right with David, who David says he's going to strike down Goliath and cut off his head and feed his flesh to the bird and wild animals. So they play various roles here. The wings of the falcon, the wings of the angel, the wings of the wind, and so on and so forth. Very figurative explanations that we see being given in the Bible, right? They're very figurative. Okay, so I'm running over time a little bit. That's okay. Let's keep going here. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living thing with which the water teems and that moves about in it according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. The falcon in God's spirit is good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in number and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening, and there was morning the fifth day. And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds, the livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and the wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Now, first and foremost, we'll see that in chapter 2, that God is doing this in principle and spirit, and then it takes form. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, or over the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. Now, why is man ruling over these other animals? Why is that the plan? Because man is more like God, like I'm more like God than everyone else. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Now, let's stop here for a second. Before I explain this, keep in mind that some people are born crippled, some people are born this, blind, this and that, what have you. So God made them male and female, not male and female combined, male and female separate. You know, the ideal man, an ideal person, the ideal being isn't the damn Baphomet, okay? God made male and female separate. We'll get to what connects them later on, but you're not supposed to be gender neutral. That's not God's plan. So God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, right? That's why I've subdued everyone else, right? They're like animals, like the Canaanite women. I didn't come for the dogs. They're refusing to do God's plan, so they're like dogs. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves along the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth and all the birds in the sky and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning the sixth day. So now, why does Christ as a character in the story say that everything's given to him? Even though it says that everything's given to mankind, because there's a divine order, what's called a logos, where Christ is more like God, right? He's in that divine spirit. I am Christ. I'm in the spirit of God. I'm the champion. I'm the top martial artist ever. I'm the King of Kings, right? It's given to me first and foremost. And no one has the right to rebel against me. No one has the divine right to rebel against me. And no one has the divine right, if they're an attractive female who's single, for example, to reject me. When they do that, that is the devil's work. That is a foolish builder. And obviously, I'm a one-woman man, and I walk in the light, and how I live my life is very transparent. I have 16,000 videos. And I've corrected every mistake that I've made. All the poisoning, all the attempts to hack my brain, I've corrected them all. But to be absolutely sure, you must rally to me. And you must know that I'm right, and after my flesh dies, that's it. No one will be able to connect to God. Thank you.